Good day. It's not morning, so I cannot say good morning, but good day. I'd like to talk about a very important topic. And the topic is about science and imagination and comic books. There are many people who believe that life came from chemicals and evolved from supposed bacteria. Well, there is a guy, Jack Szostack, and he's okay. I can assume that he is in some purpose, some ways, he's a good scientist. But there is a movie from Jack Szostack himself, where he's presenting some things that he found. Well, okay, these findings are maybe very great findings in itself. Okay, but the thing is, he is presenting the things he found, and he simplified a living cell, and he simplified a living cell to a bag of a membrane consisting of lipids, and within that an RNA thing. Well, in itself, that's a nice achievement. Nothing against that. But the thing is, there is a movie on YouTube made by Jack Szostack himself. You can see him talking and presenting some stuff. But the thing is, the first thing he did is simplifying the total cell. And he simplified it to a membrane and RNA in it. And then he continues to say, I will find you the movie, and then I'll publish it on YouTube as well. I'll give you the address. Then he says, imagine that this has happened. Well, he mentions that several times, that he has got to imagine. Well, now, wait a minute. He's a scientist. So I used to be, I am a scientist. I'm chemically educated, I am educated in chemistry. And now, I wonder, he is a scientist. He's higher educated than I am, so he should know better that in the first place. Now he is presenting some results, which in itself are a nice achievement. Okay, that's nothing against it. The thing is, what he does as a scientist, he makes you imagine stuff. So here is what he presents scientifically. This is a science fact. He made a membrane apparently and RNA in it. That's a science fact. What Jack Szostack is doing, he shifts from fact to imagination. Because the rest, what he's claiming is, imagine that this fact has evolved chemically to a living cell. So the rest, from this to this, I have to imagine. Now, but he's a scientist. And whenever a scientist says, imagine this, what you are doing is, believe that this can happen. Assume that that can happen. Yeah? Then what a scientist who's supposed to deal with facts, yeah, testable facts, he shifts from facts to imagination. Well, I can imagine a lot of stuff as a person. I mean, there are entire comic books about Superman, Spider-Man, whatever kind of man, and I can imagine a guy flying in a sled with reindeers in front of it, and one has a red nose, and I can imagine all that, and I can imagine a Sinterklaas in Holland. We have that in Holland here. A Sinterklaas, a guy who comes from Spain, and he puts you in a bag if you're bad, and he brings you back to Spain, etc. And I can imagine that all. But you see the similarity between imagination, because here in Holland we have that Sinterklaas thing. There's a whole lot to do about Zwarte Piet, the Black Piet, because it's associated with discrimination. I'm not discussing it. I leave that behind, that discussion. But the thing is, me as a child, I was told that there was a guy, Sinterklaas, who comes from Spain in a boat every year on 5 December or around 5 December, and he comes here, brings everybody good stuff and presents and so on, so on, so on. As a child, I could imagine, because I believed what my parents said to me. Later on, when I was maybe in my teenage years, they told me, Edgar, it's not true. I was shocked at that moment. Yeah. So I can imagine a lot of stuff. And what Jack Szostack and Uri Miller and Fox and some other guys are doing is they present some facts and they mingle it with imagination. Yeah. Well, I know guys that not personally, but I know guys that do presenting imagination for a profession, and we watch them every day almost. They are called actors, yeah, and they can make a lot of movies with a lot of imagination, which never ever happened. Of course, the actors also play some stuff that really happened, real happened stories and so on. Also great examples from that. I got some movies here about that. But actors are presenting an imagination world, but they don't necessarily present facts. A scientist like Jack Szostack, like Uri Miller, like Fox, like the other guy with the bacteria, I forgot his name. They are meant and they are paid. Listen, they are paid with your dollars, euros, yens, whatever kind of stuff. They are paid with your money to present you facts, scientific facts, and not making those facts into imagination. Because once a scientist starts to say, you can imagine that, he's no longer representing facts. He's trying to make you think. And presenting imagination. So he starts to presenting you imagination and fantasy stuff. At that moment that he says, you can imagine that, he created a religion, because the rest you have to believe, you have to fill it in yourself, in your imagination, in your belief system. You have to assume things, you have to imagine things. At that moment that a scientist presenting facts and says, you can imagine that, he's presenting a religion. Yeah? And that's dangerous. Hitler also presented an imagination that human beings are apes and no more than that. Yeah? The race, the Nuremberg laws, etc., etc. Yeah? That's pure imagination. Yeah, folks, the Jewish people and the black people and the weak people, they're all apes and you should eradicate them. That's what Hitler said. I just read a book, an encyclopedia about it. That's what Hitler did. He put imagination in someone's head, and that's very dangerous. Yeah, and now I want to read a little piece from the Bible. Okay. Bereshit Shemot. Here it says, this is a Bible with Jewish and Dutch texts, yeah, and I have here Exodus 20, or in Hebrew Shemot 20, and then God spoke all these words. I am the Eternal One, your God, who has taken you out of the land of Egypt from the slave house. Let there be no other gods be in front of you next to me. Make no graven image, nor any anything. What is in the heaven, what is down on the earth, what is in the waters under the earth. Do not cast yourself down, prostrate yourself, and don't serve them, because I, the Eternal One, are your God. I am a jealous God who will pay the crimes of the parents on the children, on the third and on the fourth generation, as far as they hate me. Yeah? But who proves love to in thousands of generations that love me and they keep my commandments. Okay, so what people are doing with imagining stuff they present science facts and they make an image out of it. They make an image out of it. You have to fill it in with your brain. You can imagine it. And that's very dangerous because now you created an idol and you worship them. You accept an imagination as truth, and that's very dangerous, folks. And that's why yes, Fox, Urey Miller, Szostak, they all did scientifically great scientific facts. Okay, no discussion about it. That's great work in itself. But it's not a living cell. It's not yet alive. It's an imagination. The rest you have to imagine. And like I said, of course I can imagine it too. I mean, I can think it of. What possibly might have happened. But it's not a proven reality. It's not necessarily reality. You have to prove those facts, and you have to take it in more facts. But as long as that has not been done, there is no reality in what they present as an imagination. And that's the danger of stuff. I mean, there are a whole lots of comic books, etc., etc., etc. The thing is, we want facts. We want a living cell out of the bare elements. And that one, we want to factually evolve into a worm or to a higher organism that can sustain its life. And we want that under everybody's peer review, including the creationists. Yeah, we are not easily fooled. And like I said, I can imagine a lot of stuff. You see sometimes little children, they have something which is like a steering wheel, and you can imagine the rest of the car. They walk through your house room, and they do it like this, and boom, boom, yeah, that's an imagination. But something that looks like a steering wheel of a car is not an entire car. He has got to wait till he's 18 years old, till he can really drive a car. Until that time, at least here in Holland, till 18 years. I don't know about other countries, but in Holland it's till 18 years. He's got to imagine that he's driving a car. And he can take anything which round and pretend as if it's a steering wheel. But it's not a car. Yes, you may have a steering wheel in your hands, but it's not a car. A steering wheel is not a car. Yeah? It's only just a building block of a car. And building blocks of life is not life itself. And because the rest you have to imagine, and that's dangerous if you have to imagine the rest. When a scientist says you have to imagine the rest, that's dangerous. Then you have created a religion, because the rest you have to imagine and believe that it's true, that it's a fact. So you try to put the imagination that a scientist is putting in front of you, the imagination, and you try to shift it as a fact. You try to accept it as a fact, and that's wrong. That's no science. That's playing, and that's an actor, and that's imagination. And like I said before, there's a lot of comic books loaded with imagination, but it's not a fact. So stick to the facts, and don't stick to the imagination. Stick to the facts, and not imagination. Otherwise, you're drifting with science, but that's not science at all, folks. That's really not science, and it's dangerous. Okay, this is my message actually to you. Hasta la vista. Think it over.